thank you for joining. Awesome. Cote d'Ivoire, Jigsaw, thank you very much. Naki, Na, Nakaiwa, thank you so much. What Domino? Absolutely. Thank you so much for the engaging chats in the chat box. All right, let's move now to talk a little about our presenter for today. Next slide, please. All right. Our presenter for today is Sikumbuzo Sibanda. He is a teacher, developer, and a lecturer in English language education at Northwest University, Potchefstroom, South Africa. He brings more than 25 years of experience spanning higher education, secondary schooling, and community development, a breadth of practice that informs his commitment to contextually grounded, transformative teacher education. He is the founder of the national, the founder and the national president, the founding national president of the association, the National Association of English Teachers of South Africa, NAETSA, and his work sits at the intersection of language policy, language pedagogy, educational technology, and teacher professional development. He is a sought-after conference speaker and workshop facilitator. Sibanda has presented at national and international platforms, including Sierra Conference, Litasa, the SPU International Language Conference, and the English Connects Teacher Network Conference in Dakar, Senegal. Please make him welcome in the chat because he's one of our own, very proud and excellent communicator as he begins his presentation for today. I hand over now to Sikumbuzo as he begins the presentation. Sikumbuzo, are you there? Over
Yes,
to
I'm
you.
there. Yes, thank you.
Next slide, please. You can start. Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, or it's good evening to some, and good morning to some associates and colleagues. As been mentioned, I'm Skumuzo Spanda. I'll be leading the discussion today. But before we start, we would like to have some objectives. What are we intending for this session? We intend to establish an understanding of what subject knowledge is. We also intend to equip each other with how to use technology to strengthen subject knowledge. And then we'll share examples of how some teachers in different contexts have used technology to strengthen subject knowledge. Next slide, please. What is subject knowledge? This session challenges the notion that subject knowledge is a fixed, transferable body of content, arguing instead that it is continuously constructed, negotiated, and deepened through practice, collaboration, and contextual responsiveness, positive responsiveness, that is. Next slide. I'd like us to view subject knowledge in terms of what we call TPEC, meaning one has to have technological knowledge to teach. Technological knowledge means you can identify relevant ethical tools that can be used and are not harmful to enhance subject knowledge. Content knowledge, it is the subject, what is known about the subject. Then once you have that, you will have then need the pedagogical knowledge, how you are going to use the technology to convey the content. So TPEC in generally means, next slide please. TPEC, technological knowledge, is the what. What tools are you going to use? And of course, when are you going to use them? The pedagogical knowledge, it is the practice in the classroom, how you are going to use the technological knowledge. Then the content again answers the question, what are you going to teach? Meaning, even if you've got a topic, you should be able to break it down to edible or conceivable sub-concepts for the day. That all is done through a language. Most of us are using English as the medium of instruction. So you should be able to, as a teacher, to use English to convey the subject. And in this dynamic world of multilingual societies, are you as a teacher able to use multilingual pedagogies? We are not saying you should know all the languages, but how do you allow the classroom repertoires, the classroom languages that the learners bring to enhance their knowledge in the classroom? Of course, all these will be useless if you do not know who you are teaching. So the who you are teaching, the learner or the student in some context, you should know who you are teaching so that you can adjust culturally and socially or even socio-economically to their levels. After you know that, of course, you must have the knowledge of your professional or ethical practices. In South African context, it will be your SES code of conduct. It will be the knowledge of what you must do and what you must not do as a practitioner or as a teacher, a lecturer. Next slide, please. So for the classroom teacher, what does it mean to have the subject knowledge? I've said you must be able, have the capacity to deconstruct complex concepts and reconstruct them as accessible to the learners. I've always given an example of a cow. If you are going to eat beef, you can't eat the whole cow. You must break it down to edible small chunks. So as a teacher, therefore, you must then be able to deconstruct those topics, that subject, to edible, reconstructed, accessible knowledge systems. Next slide, please. I've said so much. What else do you think knowing the subject entails in your context? Please type in your chat. Abel will read for me the typed chats. What else do you think knowing the subject entails in your own context besides what I've unpacked? Let's type
We're
in the
waiting
chat.
for the fast fingers. We're waiting for the fast fingers. Anyone? Oh, I see Salome Ikokoyo saying using the right methods. That's an exciting point. Using the right methods. Patience Mensa says your knowledge on the subject. Thank you, Patience. Thank you, Sally. All right. Who else would like to type in? Good. Now the charts are now coming in. Vidi says tailored approach to learn grammar, rules, language forms, focus on language meaning. Testify says being an expert or professional in the subject matter. And Teshum says understanding context. Athi says unpacking and providing examples. Loads and loads of comments. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Sikombuzo.
Beautiful. I'm sure we all are having beautiful answers. I like the contextual part to say whatever you're teaching must be contextualized. So thank you so much for those chats. They will be captured and we'll have a discussion again about them sometime later or next week. Next slide, please. Okay, I would like to ask to give a few examples of using technology. But what we note is that across Sub-Saharan Africa and beyond, our biggest challenges isn't lack of passion or lack of subject knowledge. It's about access. Access for that subject knowledge for us as teachers, access for subject knowledge as learners. So many of our schools face large challenges because of large classrooms, limited textbooks, and even internet connectivity. Yet most of us for example, and increasingly our learners as well carry smartphones with WhatsApp already installed in those applications. So what are we doing about such simple, accessible technology is one of the things that we're going to discuss about today. Next slide. Okay, we have 3 case studies that we want to draw from. I'm hoping that you have read or accessed the British Council's Teaching and Learning with Technology in Sub-Saharan Africa report. It is there. You can access it. The session maps the terrain where subject expertise, digital competence, and professional identity intersect in ways that are both urgent and instructive for global teacher education. Please access it. It's got many beautiful stories, but for today, I'm going to limit my examples to 3 case studies. Next slide. We would first start with the South African experience with which I was involved, where it was an 8-week training based on professional development program that reached teachers and English teachers across the 9 South African provinces. Next slide. The training was delivered online. Emphasis there is online, meaning the accessibility was accessible to 9 provinces simultaneously on WhatsApp. The focus was on practical demonstration and hands-on practice of using this app. So what did the participants do and what did they learn? They learned to share comprehension text on WhatsApp, reading for pleasure materials on WhatsApp, educational YouTube videos and documents on WhatsApp, how they could share these. Then they were also guided through comprehension questions in a structured way on WhatsApp, working step by step what you could do for a comprehension text and how it asks questions. Most interesting, which many participants liked, was the use of emojis. I'll give some examples later. Images and short text for vocabulary learning and sentence building. They would then not only type and send emojis, but they would respond through voice notes for pronunciation and speaking and listening practice. So the voice notes were not only used just for answering, but they were used for other aspects of English language teaching. Then WhatsApp was also used to introduce topics before they came to class that they could then use when they are in class to light the fire of discussions and debates. Next slide, please. Of course, as you venture into this, there are always challenges. But where there are challenges, those are spaces for us to also learn. There were power cuts, or what we call load shedding, which caused internet loss. What would you do then if it's like this? If all participants were affected, we would postpone the session. If some were affected, they would catch up by reviewing the WhatsApp chat, which are always there. When electricity comes back, they go through the WhatsApp chat and the recordings, then they would have caught up with that. The data costs. We're fortunate enough because we were partnering with the British Council and the Department of Basic Education, who then provided, British Council then provided data for participants and trainers. The other challenge is, what if we are having schools that do not allow learners to use cell phones? Then you'd use those cell phones outside schools in out of school context. Then they'll come with their answers. Next slide. Let us try this. I use dash on dash. I could use this to teach this. I use dash on dash. I could use this to teach dash. My example there, I use the weather app on my phone to check rain patterns. I could use this to teach a geography lesson on climate. I'll give the example again. What I'm asking you to do is on the chat to write, I use dash on then you give the gadget, then you state what you could use that for. My example is I use the weather app on my phone to check the rain patterns. I could use this to teach a geography lesson on climate. The charts begin. Let the charts begin. And Abel will help me
Yes,
again.
let the chat begin. Let the chats begin. So we're waiting to see how creative our audience is tonight. Um, I'm looking at the chat box to see who has gotten something here. And these sentence stems really help you to know some of these things. Thank you very much, Ati. Ati says, I use interactive quiz on Mentimeter to teach and revise complex grammar topics.
Beautiful.
Thandile says, I use language learning app like Duolingo to teach Isikhthosa language
It's
acquisition
closer.
learning. Thosa.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Thandile. I'm sure that's from South Africa. Yes, I
Yes, yes.
see Kansime Cohen say, I use cell phone to teach and strengthen pronunciation. Emmanuel Oluport says, I use the booklet app to teach addition and other things. Excellent submissions. Please keep your responses coming. Over to you, Sikombuzo.
Beautiful. Those you see, we all can use different gadgets beneficially, meaningfully to teach something. I also like this one. I use ChatGPT on my phone to check spelling, and I could use it to teach spelling to pupils. Thank you. Let's move to the next slide. For example, using WhatsApp, what we did would have those emojis for a natural science or a geography class. You have those emojis. You can start with the emojis, or you can start with the words, like for a rain cycle. Where is evaporation? Where is precipitation? And then after they have this, you just slide the emojis, then they write the words, or you write the words, then they stick the emojis. This brings an interesting part in terms of just using emojis for them to respond. These emojis that they love and they have on their phones. So they are now using it just for educational purposes. So they do what they like best: work, play, and learn. Next slide, please. So then now you have your evaporation. They'll put where evaporation is. Where is the condensation taking place in that cycle? Precipitation or collection. If there is no collection in anywhere, you see, then they have a drawing, another emoji for collection. This then comes an easier and faster way of engaging your learners. Next slide, please. Another example for the literature people that I see are many here is for dictating or talking about mood and tone. You maybe in a poem or short story, you ask them to reply to a passage only with emojis, nothing with no words, no typing, no voice note. They then just capture the mood, e.g., that crying face, that broken heart for grief, or that fire, that crying face, and the weapons, the swords for conflict. This is a quick, low pressure way to check comprehension of tone before a deeper written analysis, and also to check mood before a deeper written analysis. That becomes a build up, and you are using what learners have and what they enjoy. Next slide, please. For mathematicians amongst us, this can also be done in a math class, where for some of us who learn backward mental maths, so you can just say whether they have a tick or an X. If the answer is right, it's a tick. If the answer is wrong, it's an X. Or simple, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If the answer is right, thumbs up. If the answer is wrong, thumbs down. They respond in a chat. For example, is 7 times 8, 54. Can you please respond like that? Then they respond in a chat. It's faster also, and also low band kind of use of emojis in your mathematics classroom. Next slide, please. In history class, we can have like every day, this day in history. Like today in South Africa, it's Nelson Mandela Day. You have that you send a status update, say this day in history, Nelson Mandela Day. Then they can now chat about why this day is called Nelson Mandela Day, and it has been granted a holiday in South Africa. You can also have other events like the 1976 uprising, the 1994 elections. So you can have a screenshot or image of one of the historical photos, which will give a caption of this context. Learners will respond with a voice note sharing their reaction or follow-up question about this day in history. The teacher can also have a poll for learners to guess the year and maybe just put the picture of Nelson Mandela, they state what they know about him and why this day. So here it combines the uses of emoji, like the election ballot box for elections, resistance can be changed, then and other visuals that can stick more to their memory and they can use to remember more. So at any time, you can use such things as emojis in your classrooms instead of us teaching in a traditional manner every time. Next slide, please. So in terms of these things, it does not matter when and how. I want to talk about pre-class, during class, and post-class. So you can use them to connect your learning and teaching experiences with the community because they can do it in their homes, you can do it in class, and you can do it as a follow-up for the lessons after the classes. So these are some of the WhatsApp features that you could use individually and or in combination. I'm saying you do not have to, you say, I'm only, because I'm using emojis, I'll only use emojis. You can also use them in combination, whether a combination of twos or threes, so that you enhance or you activate all the senses when they are learning. We know that we've got five senses, and the more the senses that are activated in learning, the more they remember. Next slide, please. I've got this table that I drew up. Say the feature that you are going to use from WhatsApp. It's a, for example, for number one, it's a voice note. What are you going to use it, and what are you going to combine it with, and when are you going to do that? So you can go. There are 16 that I know of. There are many that I might not know of in the WhatsApp chat, but these are what I can use and which I know can be very useful in your classrooms. I'll give you a few examples of how these can be used individually or combined and when in the next slide. Okay, let's look at voice notes. You can use voice notes to explain a concept, give instructions, or provide feedback in your own voice. How do you combine this? You can combine this with some images that narrate a diagram or with a text messages to reinforce written instructions. This could be used pre, during, and post class. Polls, I won't go through all of them. I'll just give a few selected examples. Polls would have a quick formative assessment, opinion gathering, or revision quizzes. You can combine this with text to explain the poll or the purpose, or with voice notes to debrief the results. This can also be used during class or post class. We're talking about images and photos. You can share diagrams, infographics, learner examples, or visual prompts individually. Then you can also combine this with captions or voice notes to explain the images. And this can also be used pre, during, and post class. The videos. What I must emphasize, your videos must be short so that the concentration span of learners is not affected, or they are not deviated from what you are teaching. These can be used to demonstrate experiments, model pronunciation, show historical clips, and you can combine these with captions for context or polls after to check understanding. and they can also be used pre, during, and post class. Status updates. Most of you always have status updates. So they can also be used educationally. So for status updates, you can use it as a reminder. Did you know? Or as a countdown to deadline, they've got an assignment coming up. Then you just post 5 days to go, 3 days to go, 1 day to go, 1 hour to go. You can combine these with 4 short videos or images that are well sized and will chow much of their data. Also, this can be used pre, post class. WhatsApp communities. I'm sure most of us belong to WhatsApp communities. You can organize these per grade or per subject for them to share knowledge there, or just to make announcements about any topic that you are doing or any due dates for your assignments or the assignments themselves. So you can combine these with group and broadcast lists and pause for wide community feedback. You can use this pre-class and post-class. The disappearing messages, you can also do that to share sensitive time-limited content and some answers that you want not to be kept. You can combine these with images and you can also use this pre and post class. These are some of the examples. You can think of other examples and which you can do. I'm only using the WhatsApp feature here. So there are many other features that you can use, which have got so much to be used educationally. And the learners are already using them. So it's for us to take advantage of what they like. Next slide, please. Yeah, I've talked a lot. Let me breathe again. A teacher wants learners to consolidate today's lesson at home. What is the best WhatsApp strategy you can use? You have taught, but you want to consolidate the lesson when they are now at home. Just type just one WhatsApp strategy. You don't have to explain it. Just write the strategy on our chart. Let's go.
All right. I'm waiting to see what is the best strategy, the best WhatsApp strategy. Yeah, community class. Vidi says WhatsApp community class. Excellent. Yes. What other strategy? Okay. It appears we only have one comment. Okay, more are coming in. Group chat. Emmanuel says, I can tell that recording, tell them to record a highlight and share in a video audio, okay? Martina says polls. Kapufi says WhatsApp channel class. Yeah, so we've got polls, community class, audio and video uploads. All right.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your
Beautiful.
comments. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
the comments
Yeah.
can keep coming. We'll read them again later. Next slide, please. Okay. What were the impacts and benefits of this use of WhatsApp? Teacher engagement was more. Teachers welcomed the shift away from the more traditional methods, and they actually enjoyed using these WhatsApp strategies. Learner engagement. Learners then were now using the phones. We know they are always glued on screens, but they are now using them for educational purposes. It made the lessons more interactive and engaging. Next slide, please. I did a lot on South Africa because I was the one running that. I'll give a brief examples about um, two other African countries, Sub-Saharan countries. We did have ICT clubs that Victor did in rural communities in Kenya. This reveal how sustained student-centered technology integration reshapes teachers' roles as a subject expert. Next slide, please. Okay, what Victor did was he did not use English only. Remember earlier I talked about EMI and multilingualism. So he used English, Kiswahili, and Kibukusu to reach out to our learners, to support the learners for in more difficult words. So his sessions ran 2 to 3 times in a week for 20 to 30 minutes sessions. His focus was on basic computer skills. So because it was rural Kenya, he was just orientating them how to use basic skills in laptops like MS Word, Excel, how to access internet, and handling of hardware. The learners sometimes brought their school work to integrate and discuss using the ICT. Teachers attended separate sessions and focused on ICT integration in the teaching. So the teachers would rotate because the gadgets were not as many to accommodate all the learners. A group may have 2 sessions in a row or complete activities, helping to maintain momentum and continuity. Next slide. What challenges did Victor face in Kenya? There was limited access to devices. Like I said earlier, there were no laptops at first. Then you had to borrow another one. There were 3 laptops. So the solutions that he did to that limited advice, he sought support from school management and local organizations to source additional computers. The other barrier that he had challenged was that language comprehension barriers. So that's why for solutions, he used English, Swahili, and also Kibukusu occasionally to further support the learners. Next slide, please. What do you think could be benefits in setting ICT clubs in your school for enhancing subject knowledge? We have seen that how Victor started with only 1 laptop, but it then expanded. What do you think could be benefits in setting ICT clubs in your schools for enhancing subject knowledge? Let's start. No, no. You've gone to the next slide. So right, I wanted them to type first. It's all right,
Yeah,
Michelle.
we have a comment from Nakayiwa. Says promotes lifelong learning. I think that's a very good response.
Mhm.
For want of time, I think we need to move to the next point. So
Thank
please
you.
keep your comments coming in. Yeah, thank you.
What were the impacts and benefits in the Kenyan experience? Learner engagement, learners showed higher
Already
motivation.
have 1 point that is good enough. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, learners showed higher motivation and school attendance became more, absence was reduced due to excitement around the ICT sections. Skills development, learners gained digital skills and digital literacy, basic coding knowledge, and familiarity with online tools. Teachers themselves were also developed in terms of their ability to integrate ICT into classroom teaching, more so into subject knowledge. Learners build skills for further study and work in the digital world while developing problem solving, innovation, and creative thinking. Next slide, please. Then we had an Ugandan experience where Sophia integrated teachers and tutors on site for a week, while teachers from nearby primary schools traveled each day. Next slide, please. Uh, what Sophia did was she demonstrated in those 3 main sessions. After demonstrations, she gave the teachers and tutors hands-on practice. After that, they had group work where they shared their challenges and also their expertise or what they learned. Next slide, please. What were the challenges in Uganda? Time was not enough. The training, what solutions came up was that the training focused on core digital skills and prioritized essential tools so that everyone could practice during the week. The limited devices like the Kenyan experience were then shared computers and smartphones and worked in pairs or small groups, and a projector was used so that everybody could participate and see. Poor internet and power cuts, the similar experience that we highlighted in South Africa. Materials were downloaded beforehand and offline were ready. The schedules were adjusted. Different tech abilities. Then some students were paired against those that learned faster, the Vygotsky theory, learning from the more knowledgeable others. Next slide, please. So what was the impact? We saw increased confidence and awareness. The application became more interesting. The students were also more engaged. Peer sharing made learners more comfortable and attended more sessions and encouraged broader use of technology. Trainee teacher support. Tutors now guide the trainees to research topics independently and present their findings, applying skills learned during the workshop. So this has got replica effects other than for the participants only. They are now teaching those that were not even in the first group of that was trained. Next slide, please. What do these case studies reveal to us? They show us that knowing subject means knowing how to adapt into your context. They also show that technology can extend subject learning using tools teachers already have and learners already have. They also show that digital skills help teachers deepen subject expertise and collaboration. ICT clubs build sustainable learning communities for teachers and learners. Next slide, please. Challenge. What challenges do I leave you today with? Please go back to your schools, start one ICT club, however small. Use WhatsApp not as a distraction, but as a genuine extension of your classroom. Inculcate digital skills and ethical use of digital tools. Underline ethical use. Know that every voice, note, every poll, every shared image you send is a small act of educational equity, which we want to strive for. Next slide, please. As we have seen in this session, subject knowledge is not a fixed transferable body of content. It is a continuous, constructed, negotiated, and deepened through practice, collaboration, and contextual responsiveness. Remember what you said about TPEC and use it in your schools. Next slide. What are the key takeaways that I want you to go with? Start with what you have, please. Choose free, accessible platforms. Do not wait to be an expert. We all were not experts. We learn as we go. Must be passionate about what you do and sustain the momentum. Next slide. With that said, I thank you all. Siyabonga. Badanki.
Siyabonga, Sikombuzo, thank you so much for that one presentation. And I'm sure in a few minutes in the chat, we will see more applauses. And you can see the emojis that the participants are using to acknowledge and appreciate your presentation. Now it's time for questions and answers. Please, you can type in the chat questions that you've got for our presenter. We've got sufficient time to look into some of the questions that have come in already. We have a question from Vidi. If you can see it in the chat, she's asking a question about the difficulty she's facing to blend sounds in words. That's her pupils are facing to blend sounds with words while reading, especially consonant clusters. So she's asking, how can tablet-based or personalized learning solutions be used to solve reading problems in primary classrooms in remote villages in Africa. She has a two-edged question, so I'll just read the second one so you can respond immediately. How can digital and mobile content be designed specifically to support visually and hearing impaired learners in primary classrooms in remote villages in Africa? So she's asked this question twice or three times now. So could you respond to that quickly while I collate the other questions to be read?
Yeah. The, the, the,
Thank
the,
you.
the, thank you for the questions. I'll say the first one, in terms of the pronunciations and stuff, you can use these digital tools to model. If, for example, you want to 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 for pronunciation, you can ask the digital tool to give a passage that will then model the pronunciation of that of those words. But what I would like to emphasize is that while we are doing that, don't forget the human element. The pronunciations, while standard, they are also contextual. You can then also come in as a teacher to emphasize uh, the keywords for the day. Don't teach in the pronunciation as a whole passage. Then choose certain words that can be modeled. Then you can then model those words for pronunciation. You can also yourself pre-record and play the videos for that model proper pronunciation. The second part about the visually or the deaf learners, I'm not an expert in that field. I would not want to give a wrong answer. Yeah. But if there's someone who can give us an answer in terms of special education, it would be appreciated. I'm mainly a conventional person,
Yeah,
not a special education expert.
special. Absolutely. And I see that someone else has asked that question. Um, Kapufi, Jonathan has asked, what technology can I use to enhance literacy development among deaf learners? So it appears it's something that many people are interested in. Um, there's another question again from Tishom Bekele, and he says many teachers struggle with integrating technology meaningfully into instruction. What competence should teachers develop first before introducing advanced digital tools?
Yeah. Um, Maybe going back to the deaf learners, maybe that can also be part of our next week discussions, so that we deal with that. If there's so much interest on that, around that, we can do a bit of research and come and discuss and share how best we can help these group of learners. Then the other one was, please repeat the question. The now.
Okay, the question he was asking was about integrating what meaningful um, what competencies should teachers develop first before introducing advanced digital tools? So, as
Yeah,
a teacher, what competency should you develop first before
yeah.
you introduce advanced digital tools to a classroom? Yeah.
Yes, I said in earlier in my presentation that start with what you have. The simple ones would be, like I said, the use of cell phones. Most of us have cell phones, but we're not using them to capacity because we are using them for different purposes. Like I gave an example for WhatsApp, start with what we have, explore what we can do in the gadgets that we have, in the gadgets that don't need much money, in the gadgets that are more accessible to them. So you can start with that, then move to others. Like you saw in the Ugandan experience, the teacher started with a laptop. That's another example. Started with one laptop, just basic key concepts of typing, of using Word, of using Excel. Then after that, these learners are fast learners. You'll find they will also move beyond you as a teacher and and find ways of how they can also learn. I said, do not start by trying to be an expert. Start with what you know as well, so that you can also build from known to unknown.
Excellent. Excellent. We've got another question from Tesify, which says, what are the key principles of the TPAC framework that you shared earlier? Would you like to go over the key principles of the
Yes, yes.
framework? Yeah.
The TPEC mostly talks about first technological knowledge, which is the T. Then the P is for pedagogical knowledge, and then the knowledge of the subjects. I said the knowledge of the of technology. It is to know what tool can you use when for enhancing subject knowledge and how you can use it. Then the pedagogical knowledge, it is you knowing how to teach what the content that you know, breaking it into accessible, understandable parts for the learners. Then the content knowledge is for you as a teacher to be an expert in the subject that you teach. And for you to be an expert is for you to be a continuous learner. What we have been taught and also continue to learn contextually also in your environment. So those are the key principles of TPEC. I'm hoping that these slides will also be shared so that you then go through them and see that diagram that I showed you on how to integrate those three.
Yeah, so we've got another question from Yoavi Afla, and he's saying something about the contacts of the learners. Um, I think it's an obvious question, but maybe you would like to respond to that about having the contacts of the learners or their guardians to be able to connect with them via WhatsApp. Is that correct? You've got to have their numbers to be able to connect with them via WhatsApp, right?
Yes, the other thing that I touched on was the ethical use of WhatsApp or whatever gadget. So before you start having, for example, a WhatsApp, set out the ground rules. Because like I said, even in other schools, there are schools that say we don't want our learners to use WhatsApp. So you set out the ground rules, and because they are minors, you involve the parents that we are going to be using WhatsApp for these purposes, and these are the times we're going to be using WhatsApp from this time to this time. And after that, no one shares any other number. The numbers are not used for any other to be shared with other people or to be used outside educational purposes. So it is important before you start any WhatsApp, even club, or even the teaching of WhatsApp, or even the groups, to set out the ground rules. The ground rules can be shared even in written form so that the parents and the parents or guardians can sign with their learners before you start that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that response. I think it also answers Emmanuel Oluport's question about tendencies for students to use bad language in the group. How do you handle that? I think it's a question of setting the ground rules and having um, safeguarding measures to ensure that the groups are safe and people are not abused. So there's so many questions here, and I'm sure you will be available coming Friday on Telegram to respond to many of these questions and more questions, especially the one that has to do with special needs and people who are interested in knowing more about you know, digital tools that can help in spaces where there are no internet connectivity, the same issues that we have talked about, Kenya, Uganda, and South Africa. So we will close the curtain here for the presentation. I see that the copy of today's slides have been shared already in the chat. Please do well to download a copy and go through it. And please get prepared for the Telegram discussion. And we're happy with you, Sikombuzo. Thank you so much for your presentation. And thank you, everyone, for participating actively. I will now hand over quickly to Michelle to wrap
But
up
maybe,
today's
but maybe
presentation.
before you do that, I saw some questions here about certificates. People they're saying say
Okay.
certificate. Maybe you can make an announcement about that.
Oh, sure. Michelle will do that. So rest assured, she'll do that. So thank
Okay.
you once again. And I hand over now to Michelle for the closing.
Yes,
Over to
thank
you,
you so
Michelle.
much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Abel. Thank you.